If you've completed a Deadlock Protocol quest, you'll have been introduced to Parvos Granum, the creator of Spectre tech. Even before that, you yourself can access Spectres through syndicates and rescue mission rewards, just to name a couple sources. So what are Spectres, and how can you use them the best? I'm the Engineer, let's solve a practical problem. In its simplest form, a Spectre is a copy of a character which can fight alongside you, using similar weapons and abilities to the original, though often not fully or with altered attributes. Spectres come from a variety of locations. There are Tenno Specters, obtained by crafting one of the 4 Tenno Spectre blueprints available from completing rescue missions. There are Syndicate Spectres, available as rewards from the 6 core syndicates, and also as blueprint loot from killing opposed syndicate death squads. Other Spectres can be obtained more rarely from Baro or from completion of the weekly Clem mission. Depending on how you stretch the definition, you can also include all kinds of other ways of creating copies of characters, such as Wukong's Celestial Twin or Synoid Heliocore's Heavy Attack feature. But I'll just be focusing on Spectres or Spectre-like allies summoned from the gear wheel. To be able to use a Spectre, make sure to equip it in your gear wheel in the arsenal before deploying into a mission. Some missions block the use of the gear wheel or Spectres themselves, such as Sanctuary Onslaught, but most missions will not limit you in this way. You can have any number of Spectres active simultaneously, though each player may only summon one of each type of Spectre, such as one Moa Spectre and one Charger Spectre, but not 2 Moa Spectres simultaneously. Summoning a new one will kill the old one. Let's look at what choices you have then. Syndicate Spectres come in 6 variants, 1 per syndicate, all of which spawn at the level of the mission at the time you summon them. The Arbiters of Hexis provide the Corrupted Lancer Spectre. It spawns as an Arson Xmas, dealing a relatively low amount of damage in missions, but also capable of unleashing an Arson Xmas wave periodically. The wave is coloured light blue to distinguish it from enemy Xmas units. On StarChat missions, this can be a modest source of damage, though the Corrupted Lancer often prefers to hang back, reducing its effectiveness. Broadly, I wouldn't use this one except for the satisfaction of forcing enemies to deal with the fire wave for a change. Cephalon Suda provides the Shield Osprey Spectre. It spawns as a Shock Xmas, dealing a very low amount of damage while also slightly restoring the shields of you and your allies in range. The electric damage it deals doesn't produce electric procs, making it no benefit to condition overload. Steel Meridian provide the Roller Spectre. It spawns as an Energy Leech Xmas, dealing almost no damage at all while applying frequent magnetic procs to enemies with its Leech Bubble attack, changed in energy colour to light blue, just like Arson Xmas. As enemies do not have energy, nor a UI, the only offensive effect of the proc is to increase damage done to shields and prevent their shields recovering. As a bonus though, whenever the leech bubble strikes the enemy, you regain a small amount of energy over time. With enough enemies, this functionally provides you with about 2 energy per second. Red Veil provides the Charger Spectre. It spawns as a Venomous Xmas, maintaining a toxic aura around it again with the ally energy colour. For the Corpus, this gives it a way to slowly kill them by bypassing their shields, while for other factions, it's not as effective. Due to it being a melee unit, it will get into combat easily, distracting fire from you and getting value out of its aura. The Perrin Sequence provide the Moa Spectre. It spawns as an Arctic Xmas, deploying a mobile snow globe like normal Xmas to provide you and your allies with a defensive shield. Beyond that, it has very little else of note. Lastly, New Loka provide the Ancient Healer Spectre, spawning as a volatile Xmas. This gives you and your allies 90% damage resistance in a small 10 meter aura, while also periodically slamming a line of explosions into nearby enemies. This too takes on the blue energy of allied Xmas abilities. Due to the scaling of hit points, this shockwave attack mostly just ragdolls enemies rather than largely harming them, leaving this Xmas mostly valuable for the damage reduction it grants. In essence, you have a selection of supporting summons providing different types of support options. The Baro Specters, however, consisting of a Corrupted Bombard and Corrupted Heavy Gunner, spawn as non-Xmas units. They have low damage output with no special abilities. While they do spawn Corrupted Shield Drones, the overall value is rock bottom. All of these Spectres are very low damage and shouldn't be relied on for kills. Thankfully, if damage is your goal, other options exist. On completion of the quest of Man of Few Words, you get access to the Clem Clone Blueprint. Reobtainable weekly from a 10-minute survival mission, this blueprint enables you to summon a Clem clone in a mission. He lacks any abilities, solely relying on his guns for moderate damage output, though he struggles to deal with highly armoured targets. Clem is a modest damage spectre. Similarly, on completion of the Veilbreaker quest and follow-up Breaking Armor missions, you can unlock the Scout landing craft. This unlocks the Kahl beacon, allowing you to call in Kahl and his squad from your gear wheel using air support charges. While technically not Spectres, they function very similarly. Kahl himself has high damage output and initially has 4 non-replenishing grenades which he quickly uses up to high effect. While the Kahl squadron has a 5-minute timer only, air support can be deployed every 5 minutes with merely rank 2 engineering intrinsics, something you should definitely have by the time you unlock Kahl, allowing for permanent uptime on the Kahl squad. The only downside is this takes up the air support slot, preventing you from using something else like Orokin Eye or Override. Also a stretch in terms of Spectre, but still summoned from your gear wheel, are on-call crew. Just like the Kahl squad, they're not actually Spectres, but still function in a similar manner, summoned by an orb and fighting alongside you. On-call crew become available with rank 9 command intrinsics in Railjack, and you can further upgrade to elite crew with rank 10. NPC crew can be hired from Ticker and Fortuna once you've got the rank to actually use them, and assigning one to be on call is as simple as heading to a dry dock interface and marking one of your active crew as on call. NPC crew can be equipped with one of most primary or secondary weapons, complete with your own custom modding. This means they do not scale with the level of the mission, but instead enter at full power. Despite using your assigned weapon, on-call crew do not experience ammo issues, able to reload endlessly. Sensibly equipped with something strong, on-call crew can deliver extreme power, especially when boosted by their damage perk and an elite NPC perk. I use the Kuvazar on my on-call crew for generalized room clearing effect. The downside to on-call crew is that they only stick around for 3 minutes with a total 10-minute cooldown from when they're summoned. For the other 7 minutes, you'll need to rely on something else. You do also have the option to select converted Kuvaliches or Sisters of Parvos as crew, which you absolutely should not do. They're bad at their role with terrible damage output and a waste of a slot. Last of the Spectre options are Tenno Specters. They come in 4 tiers: Vapor, Phase, Force, and Cosmic. These correspond to 1, 2, 3, and 4 stars on their blueprint and gear wheel icon, or are sometimes referred to as Bronze, Silver, Gold, and Platinum Spectres. Each blueprint is received from rescue missions, with which one you receive depending on the mission level and how many bonus objectives you achieved. The bonus objectives are simply don't set off the execution sequence and kill all wardens, each increasing the tier of blueprint you receive by 1 star. The base tier is 2 stars on level 25 or higher missions, 1 star on level 16 to 24 missions, and no stars below level 16. That is, if you merely rescue the target but set off the execution sequence and leave an award alive on a low level mission, you get no blueprint at all. Nightmare missions, however, don't follow this pattern and seem to assign blueprints how they please, with a level 23 mission and no bonus objectives giving me a 4-star blueprint, while a level 21 mission with 1 bonus objective only gave me a 3-star blueprint. Go figure. As it so happens, an upgraded Spectre blueprint is arguably a nerf to your reward. The basic Tenno Spectre blueprint has the lowest resource cost and constructs 10 Spectres at a time. However, the Phase Spectre costs more while giving only 5 Spectres. Force costs more again for only 3 Spectres, and Cosmic costs the most for just a single use Spectre. Tenno Specters, just like Syndicate Specters, spawn at a level based on the current mission level. The basic Vapor Spectre matches the level, while Phase, Force, and Cosmic get a 2, 5, and 9 level bonus. The level of the Spectre scales their health, armor, shields, and weapon damage identically to how enemies scale their stats with level. This means the upgraded Tenno Spectre, with its increased cost and reduced number of Spectres per blueprint, rewards you with a fractional increase in damage output. Going from Vapor to Cosmic, that's 1 star to 4, you get at most a 61% damage bonus at level 7. For more typical levels, level 30 sees a 38% damage bonus, level 70 only 19%, and by Steel Paths level 101, you're getting merely a 14% damage bonus for those additional levels. As far as I can tell, there are no other benefits for a higher tier Spectre versus a lower one. More weapon damage and more hit points only, and then not by a significant margin. Spectre ability damage is unaffected, keeping whichever fixed values it's been assigned right from the start. Unlike most Spectres, Tenno Specters only allow you to summon 1 at a time across all tiers. Due to this, and the minimal impact of the level bonus, the only real reason to build anything other than the Vapor Spectre is to give access to additional loadout choices at once. All Tenno Specters, on initiating construction, will require you to either preserve the loadout last used for that rank of Spectre, or have you apply your current loadout to it. Applying your loadout will copy your equipped Warframe, primary, secondary, and melee weapon. The copying process will not complete, however, until you claim the Foundry job, meaning that to switch from one loadout to another will either take a full 8 hours of build time, or rushing the build for 20 platinum. It's at this point that I ask you don't inquire as to how much platinum I've spent rushing these for testing purposes. Maybe just subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Because of the current limitation on loadouts, both in setting them up and the time cost to change them, the different tiers of Spectres can be used to hold loadouts based on how often you would use it. Your common go-to Spectre should be the 1-star, while that loadout you hold in your back pocket for choice moments can be the 2, 3, or even 4-star Spectre. Now, to save everyone a lot of time, I'm going to tell you outright that most weapons and warframes make for poor Tenno Specters. As you're unable to mod them in any way, nor customize them with helmet abilities, incarnate features, or even get the benefits of progenitor bonuses on Kuva and Tenet weapons, there's a lot of mediocre to outright bad options. What's worse is that some warframes don't even use most of their kit. Limbo, for example, doesn't use the Rift at all as a Spectre, and for good reason, instead turning his only ability Banish into a weaker version of Banshee's Sonic Boom. Instead, let's focus on the good options that provide real benefits. In terms of warframe choice, there are a handful that stand out from the rest for having significant benefits to offer. Caliban Spectres cast only one ability periodically, and that's Fusion Strike. It's a one-trick pony, but this allows Caliban to remove 50% of armor and shields in an area from time to time. Powered up with enough strength bonuses like Power Donation, this would allow for total armor and shield strip. At the time recording this, Caliban is also bugged to apply the defense reduction effect multiple times over, equal to the number of people in the squad. That means with just one other player in the squad, your Caliban Spectre will remove 100% of enemy armor without any strength buffs. Strangely enough, this also happens with player Calibans too. I'll try to remember to pin a comment if this later gets fixed. Aside from the defense strip, Fusion Strike also gathers up and ragdolls enemies, overall providing a general support and debuff option. It's the fact that Caliban only casts this one ability, and then somewhat frequently, that makes him a pick to consider. Citrine, on the other hand, uses her entire kit, which can give you orbs, healing, temporary damage reduction, status enhancement, and just occasionally critical bonuses too. She's not the most impressive, but she covers a lot of features at once. Harrow Spectres use most of his kit, providing crowd control, energy generation occasionally, and the use of Covenant for a moment's invulnerability, followed by an absolute critical chance buff. Seeing as this is one of the strongest critical buffs in the game, that's a nice bonus. Hydroid Spectres use his updated rework and to great effect, combining his 1, 2, and 4 with his passive. Not only does this mean Hydroid can fully armor strip enemies with corrosive from his abilities, his passive effect with an AoE weapon is enough to curse enemies and let you reap the benefits with a corrosive weapon yourself. I found the Tenet Envoy useful on a Hydroid Spectre with its large AoE and good ammo economy. Nidus is worth considering as the only Spectre able to provide a notable strength buff to enhance your casting, potentially crossing an important breakpoint in your build. He also provides a tiny amount of healing. Nyx is a solid contender for defense removal and control. She casts her abilities often, and with a single Power Donation aura in the squad, she will fully remove armor and shields from a few enemies with each cast of Psychic Bolts. She's overall a good distraction and debuff option. Protea will provide a mix of support options. She won't hold cast abilities, meaning you get no shield satellite, but she will use all 4 of her abilities, including deploying a dispensary for health, ammo, and energy. This is especially useful if you're not roaming the map a lot. Protea's turrets don't last very long, but can still get a surprising amount of damage done for an unmodded ability cast. Stynax will deliver significant damage in burst through the use of his final stand ability, and can provide you with both energy and shields through occasional casts of Rally Point. It's a low but reliable source of energy for situations where you may otherwise not have much. Combine it with the Roller Spectre for even more gains. Wisp Spectres can combine healing at 30 health per second with haste buffs, crowd control, and she's able to hold a Soulgate ability long enough for it to do decent damage for a Spectre ability. Just like Protea, Wisp Spectres give more value the longer you stay in a fixed location. Finally, a special mention goes to Grendel for just being a hilarious roller Spectre on steroids. If you need something to cheer you up on a bad day, this might just do it. I strongly recommend you only pick from among these warframes when choosing which Spectre to summon, based on what kind of support you could use. In terms of weapons, Spectres use up ammo just like players do, yet they aren't smart about recovering it. If the primary weapon reloads, they'll typically keep going through their ammo until it's gone and then switch to the secondary, meleeing if close to an enemy. If the primary is a recharge weapon like the Foreman, they'll often switch straight to a secondary rather than waiting on a recharge, swapping back later on. This could be used to your benefit if you prefer the Spectre to use a secondary weapon by giving them a primary they'll soon put away due to ammo issues. From my testing, it seems to me that unless you are actively defense stripping enemies for the Spectre to kill, they're best off equipped with weapons to bypass enemy resistances. High slash and status weapons are great against the Grineer to bypass their armor, while high toxin weapons are great against the Corpus to bypass their shields. Consider weapons like the Sancti Tigris and Spore Lacer for primary, Latum, Tenet Cycron and Spore Lacer for secondary, and melees like the Cronin Prime, Inodem, Caris Prime, Synod Prime, or many of the other slash or toxin melees for the melee slot. Nyx and Caliban with their defense strip powers can enable a greater array of weapons, though they won't always be firing on enemies with the debuffs applied. Tenno Specter damage output varies a lot, depending on weapon choice and mission choice. For normal star chart or long endurance runs, Spectres have more power, especially against unarmored targets. This is due to the mismatch in NPC level scaling between their tank and damage, which I go into more detail about in my guide to enemy level scaling. When you combine all the options I've gone through here, you have access to a full army, which can complement your own play in various ways. Solo, you can summon damage reduction in an Ancient Healer Spectre, energy regen in a Roller Spectre, damage from Clem, Kahl and on-call crew, along with further support of your choice from the available Warframe Spectres, and any other Syndicate Spectres you choose to indulge in. In a dedicated squad, you could all summon enough Spectres to outnumber the enemies entirely. And at that point, I'm not sure how well older devices might handle the chaos that'll ensue. In any case, I hope this gives you what you need to know to choose the right Spectres for you and get value out of them. That's all from me for now though, so as always, summon clones, build an army, and fight well, Tenno.